What's up, everybody? It's KBR Sports, the best sports talk show your 24-hour day. I'm your host, Brendan Abbin, with my co-host, Nigel Patterson.
Hello, everybody.
What's going on, Nigel?
You know, it's a day.
It is a day. A lot of things have happened today. A lot of events that we will definitely get into.
Hey, hold on, before you get into that, I didn't even ask you how you doing today.
I'm doing okay. It's all right day.
Work was okay.
Yeah, everything was straight. Okay day. Been kind of log jam sort of thing, but been all right day.
Man, you know, you get to the end of the school year, the semester, you just don't feel like doing anything.
Senioritis. Well, not in this case, but
freshman. Freshmanitis, it's hitting. I got 2 weeks left in the semester. I'm dragging myself to class at this point.
Really?
Finding reasons not to go to class.
Oh, come on, man.
Yeah.
No, dude, you gotta finish it out strong.
I got 2 presentations on Monday and I'm done.
So you gotta round it out strong.
I'm not going to class after that.
You can't trail off like that.
Yeah, I'm done.
It never leaves a good residue in your mouth. Nigel, one thing I want you to talk to the viewers about. So before we got on the air,
Rashad. I don't know if Rashad. Does Rashad listen?
Yeah,
sometimes. Rashad, I got a problem with you, bro. This bless you. Bless you.
Thank you.
This man came up here a week ago, 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
Came and visited the KBR team. He was spinning some gospel about how he had a chicken McGriddle. He made a chicken McGriddle. Don't get me wrong, sausage McGriddle. It's amazing. Chicken McGriddle? I would die for one of those, honestly. I would pay an embarrassing amount of money for a chicken McGriddle. I'm not gonna lie. So I'm thinking, Rashad lives in Richmond. I'm gonna go to Richmond. And I'm gonna go find one. Drove around, hit like 4 or 5 McDonald's calls, checked the menu on a couple of them. Not a single one. Just found out this man was in Norfolk. Didn't specify it to me. Didn't specify it to anybody. Just put it out there. Just wetted your tongue with something that you wanted. And it left me dry.
How'd that make you feel?
So I'm saying, Rashad, you can make up. Why you put this game on?
Just that, man.
Why'd you put this game on?
Because it's on.
Put the Wizards game back on.
Nigel, continue your story, man.
Rashad,
you're on the air. Come on.
You're coming to visit. Bring me a chicken McGriddle. That's all I asked for.
So, but you know, the bad part is he did specify which place he went, though. Yeah, he did.
Oh.
Like he literally said it when we were in McDonald's down here. He said, man. He said,
Richmond.
No, he said this ain't Norfolk.
Oh, he did say that.
Yeah.
You know, Rashad's my fault then. Rashad's my fault. My bad.
He did entirely specify.
Rashad, that is my bad.
Yeah, man.
Rashad, I take back everything. Just don't even listen to that whole part. That's my bad, Rashad. You a good dude.
So you're still in the
bring me one though, seriously though.
Desperate search for the chicken McGriddle.
I am. For real, I was gonna go to Chick-fil-A and get a chicken sandwich, and then go to McDonald's and get a chicken McGriddle, and just throw the sausage out and put the chicken on there.
Are you kidding me?
Okay, I was going to, but I was like, that's too much.
That's too much extra.
It's too much money.
That's so extra.
I ain't rolling in it. I'm not you. I don't have money like that.
Yeah, come on.
I'm just saying.
That's just so extra.
Exactly. That's why I didn't do it. I thought about it, though. I thought about it, though.
Thought about that idea,
about it.
Buy a chicken biscuit from...
It's the same thing, essentially.
It's
all the same fake... not fake, but frozen meat.
Oh, stop.
It is. I'm just saying, you think McDonald's cooks it up on the grill every morning?
I mean...
Hot and fresh for you every morning?
I mean, I like to delude myself. I mean, that's the reason I don't eat McDonald's, so...
Yeah, you're right.
So, yeah. But all right, y'all.
Let's talk about actual important stuff.
Yeah, let's jump into it. Remember, you all can follow and subscribe to the KBR Sports Podcast on Rabble TV, Spreaker, YouTube, iTunes, and SoundCloud. Also, don't forget, you can also follow KBR Sports on Twitter at KBR_sports, where we tweet the live links and show topics prior to every single show. And also, don't forget, you guys can call in at 571-991-0566 if you want to chime in on anything we're discussing and give your opinions. The number is 571-991-0566. And before we jump into our topics, breaking news just came out right now that Kevin Durant will not be playing in tonight's matchup versus the Blazers. The Game 2 matchup, which will be aired on ESPN. We will get into some of that reaction to that news later on in today's show. But right now, we're going to tackle the tragic news of tonight of the day, involving former Patriots tight end Aaron Hernandez, who was found dead or hung in his jail cell, which is presumptive to have been a suicide, but his lawyers and others are saying that they don't believe it was a suicide and they're demanding a further investigation. Hernandez was drafted by the Patriots in 2010. His most recent action with the Patriots was in 2012, which is when the Patriots actually made it to the Super Bowl. Nigel, you give me more background on Hernandez and everything like that in terms of just his track record and everything like that in terms of the criminal history and everything like that.
Yeah, so I take you back to June 17th, 2013. Odin Lloyd, semi-professional football player, found shot dead in Industrial Park, 1 mile away from Hernandez's home in North Attleboro, Massachusetts. You remember that was his sister's to-be husband, I think, or was it was his girlfriend? They were just dating. So 9 days later, my math is good. Hernandez is charged, famous when he was on all over the news when he was brought out of the house with his T-shirt wrapped over his arms and the cops leading him to the car. He was arrested. A year later, May 2014, he was charged with the double murder, which just got resolved. Well, was getting resolved, which was happening now. That happened in May 2014. So then, May 2015. Why did they go backwards? All right, so then jumping back to January 9th, the Lloyd trials began. April 2015, he's convicted for that, serving a life sentence. 2014 of this year, so 2 years later, the double murder trial begins for the Florida murders. Then 5 days ago, he was acquitted, and then this morning, obviously, he was found dead early this morning.
So, I mean, that's a lot of stuff to react to. I mean, when you think about it, this is a guy who had essentially a great. I mean, he had a great setup in front of him. If you think about all that he had in front of him, or all that he's had placed in front of him, he got coached by one of the greatest coaches in college football history, in Urban Meyer. He got to play with Tim Tebow at Florida, arguably one of the greatest college football players of all time. He gets drafted by New England Patriots, the organization which everybody considers to be the standard. He gets drafted by them. He goes on to, be part of a great duo with him and Rob Gronkowski. And then also it has Tom Brady as his quarterback. So it's like you have such an amazing setup, and then you see it. He even got signed to a $40 million contract with the Patriots, and the Patriots, for them to give you big time money that's something to say for itself. So it just seemed like he had so much in front of him that was working well for him, but he just couldn't get out of that life. Like, he couldn't leave the life. He was just stuck in it. So, I mean, it's one of those things that you look back on. I mean, it does seem to be one of the biggest sports tragedies. I mean, not even just sports tragedies, but just tragedies in general, because when you get an opportunity to get out of a certain environment, when you get put in a situation to get out, or you obtain the means to bereft yourself of getting of a certain environment, that's a blessing that many people don't. Very few people get afforded. A lot of times, people like to focus on the select few that have these success stories, that make it out of these underprivileged circumstances and all that. And obviously, it's no secret, Aaron Hernandez, or maybe for some who don't know, Aaron Hernandez, his father died when he was at a young age and everything like that. So he essentially grew up without his father, and so he turned to ulterior things for them to be his guiding light, which they really weren't, and he could never really shake them. So, I mean, Nigel, what do you think this story more so is a result of a guy that grew up in his environment, like is a product of his environment, or more so a guy that just made all the wrong decisions, sort of thing?
It could be both. You don't get one without the other. I mean, you can get one without the other, but I mean, it's a combination of both. I mean, he was a guy who had a troubled neighborhood, troubled childhood, and it led to him making the bad decisions. I mean, I believe his father was in either in a gang or he was a thug himself. And I mean, you live on that kind of streets. I mean, you get swept up. It's hard to lead that kind of life.
So, I mean, what do you think about his story in general? I mean,
it's a tragic story. I mean, it's unprecedented. I mean, never seen anything like it before. Now, I actually have a question for you. I was talking to somebody about this earlier, and they said they hope that this never gets They don't want him to be immortalized. They don't want him to be remembered. They want him to just kind of be like just written out of NFL history. You agree with that?
No, because then how do people learn from things like that? You want people to learn from these kind of experiences so that lowers the chances of them happening again. There will always be there's certain guys that are a standard of certain things. Like we all know the Len Bias story. We will all know the Aaron Hernandez story. We all know the Benji story. We all know Ray Rice's story. You always have these standard marks. Like for domestic violence in the NFL, Ray Rice is that standard. You will always have guys who will embody that I don't want to become that thing. So I don't think it's something that you want to forget and have erased from history, because when these kind of guys are erased from history, that allows that history to happen again. And granted, I'm not saying that because these guys exist, it fully decreases the chances of these things happening, but it gives people a living example, instead of me just telling you, hey, this and this and that can happen if you do this and you take this kind of path. There was actually an example of somebody who had all these opportunities and they squandered it away because they never could get themselves on the right path. So I don't think there should be erased from history at all. What about you?
Yeah, I was agreeing. I was arguing with him that because I said this should be absolute. I can't wait for the 30 for 30 that's going to eventually come out on this.
I think the same thing.
Yeah, and he was like, I kind of hope they don't make a 30 for 30 because it does nothing but kind of romanticize these guys. Not romanticize. That's not the word I'm looking for. But it tries to paint them in a better light than it probably actually ended up being, rather than the cold hard truth of it that the guy was a murderer.
He was.
And potentially, he got acquitted, so I'm not gonna say, he murdered 3 people, but he murdered a person and potentially was involved in another one.
Yeah.
So I understand where he's coming from. Just like how Pouncey's gotten a lot of grief today for posting what he did on
Twitter.
I wasn't saying Instagram. So
it might have been Instagram, but I don't know. I saw.
I think it was Instagram.
Where about how he was grieving about Aaron's death.
Yeah.
So it is one of those things that now you see, because he was connected to people. That's the only thing that it sucks when things like this happen, because people will say, "Why are you grieving over a guy like this?" And there were people that were close to him. So you want to tell me his daughter can't grieve over him? His mother can't grieve over him?
That's different.
No,
that's family.
No, so what if he felt him as family? You know what I'm saying? You can't tell somebody how they should feel about somebody. Yeah. You know what I mean? Everybody else that doesn't know him too well might see him as Aaron Hernandez the murderer, but Marquise Pouncey might see him as Aaron Hernandez, my brother in arms, my teammate, Mike, whatever. But but he might see him as Aaron Hernandez, my brother in arms, sort of thing. So it's one of those things that you can't tell a guy how to feel about someone. You can't ridicule him about how they feel, and because if these guys had a relationship, they had a relationship. So I don't think he deserves the criticism for posting in a heartfelt message. But I will say it is interesting that the fact that this situation occurred on the same day that the Patriots make their visit to the White House, that they get to go to the White House and celebrate their Super Bowl ring. So, and obviously they didn't. I haven't gotten a chance to really watch the interviews. I'm not sure if it came up in terms of the reporters asking them. If you were there, would you ask questions in pertaining to Aaron Hernandez, or would you kind of try to drift off from it and kind of just let it be about the Super Bowl? If you're a reporter there asking them their questions at the Q&A session.
So I was reading something on Aaron Hernandez. What did you say?
I was saying that if you were at the White House for the Super Bowl and you were one of the media members there and you were in the Q&A session, you were asking the Patriots questions, would you ask them about Aaron Hernandez, or would you just keep it to the Super Bowl?
Just keep it to the Super Bowl. They haven't been on the team in 4 years. People in that locker room probably never even interacted with them. There's no point in me asking anybody on that team for.
I don't know about that one.
What? Most people on that team probably hasn't interacted with them. It's been 4 whole years. Think about
I'm saying, but even if you didn't interact with the guy, you might still have, or in the time span of you guys being apart, you still might have feelings about when he was your teammate there, or when he was playing. Especially with a guy like Gronkowski, who was essentially shared the same position as him. Tom Brady, who was his quarterback. I mean, Tom Brady didn't make the White House trip because of personal reasons, but Bill Belichick as his coach, the guy that offered him the extension.
But none of them going to say anything.
You said what?
None of them going to say anything.
If you know what I'm saying, but if asked, they probably have feelings about it.
But they're not going to make them known. They're going to have feelings about it. I mean, how many people spoke out when they found his murder? It was like a couple people.
Wait, hold on. So you don't think they would make their feelings? Because Bill Belichick was asked about Aaron Hernandez, and he even labeled it as a tragedy. So. Okay. That's making your feelings known even in that sense.
I guess, but was that noteworthy?
It was noted today.
I mean, but is it really noteworthy that he called it a tragedy?
What do you mean?
I mean, is that big deal that he called it a tragedy? I mean, the guy killed himself. Yeah, it's a tragedy.
No, he wasn't talking about. This was days ago when he was asked about Aaron Hernandez. He was asked to give one-word answers on I think it was CS or CBS or something like that in an interview, and he was asked to give one-word answers pertaining to certain things, and he labeled the Aaron Hernandez thing a tragedy.
Okay,
and this is prior to his death, so it's just like seeing how that flows. It was expressed as a tragedy. I mean, because it's odd that you're saying that, but then we obviously saw Mike Pouncey had the feelings he had in regards to Aaron Hernandez.
That's different than you being on your team. I mean, that's a friend of his. That's a close friend of his. They
played together.
Friends with him in college. I mean,
yeah, they played together.
Yeah,
that's how they became friends. Just
yeah,
like the New England Patriots players.
Nobody when this came out, nobody was. Mike Pouncey's been there. Mike Pouncey's been there even when it first got announced. He was still standing by him. Who on the Patriots was standing by Aaron Hernandez when it came out? Nobody. Everybody was saying.
Tom Brady said he hopes for the best for him.
Hope for the best is not standing. It's not standing with them. I mean, Mike Pouncey clearly was standing with the guy, saying, "I hope the best for you." That's not standing with you. That's just
well, so I'm saying you said you're feeling as though those guys have no emotions about this.
But I mean, saying if you go off somewhere, if your coworker leaves you say, "Oh, I hope the best for you," you're not like, "Oh, well, I'm here for you if you need me or anything." Like, no, you're just saying.
No, I'm paraphrasing what they said, but they went more in depth than what I'm.
Okay,
I'm
but would you classify that as standing with them?
What? No, but I'm saying from what they said. If I'm giving the whole quote of what they said, they actually said they're giving him their support and everything like that. They just want him to get out of this okay and everything like that. They're hoping this changes him. They gave a more in depth what I paraphrased, but yeah.
But maybe we just have different definition of standing with the guy. I mean, Mike Pouncey made it known that he's staying with him. He doesn't believe this is true or anything like that. Saying, I hope the best. Once again, it's just I hope the best for the guy. You're not really like invested in it. You're just like, I hope the best for him.
And one of the things that's even that's most upset about it is the fact that it's one of those things that this is a guy who didn't have to be in that circumstance because he had the means. I mean, he went to college on a scholarship. He got a multi-million-dollar contract from the Patriots, and it's just sad to see how it ended up being.
Yeah, it's tragic. I mean, so I read something earlier. I mean, the guy was drafted at 20 years old, multi-millionaire at 22, arrested at 25, and unfortunately dead at 27. I mean, it's just a tragic end of the story.
Yeah. All right, y'all. We're gonna get back into our happy-go-lucky sports talk conversation. When we come back from the break, we're gonna actually be talking about the NFL draft and who the Cleveland Browns might be thinking to take with the number one pick, or what they might be thinking of doing with the number one pick. Stay tuned. It's KBR Sports, the best sports talk show, 24-hour day. And don't forget, once the segment ends, wait about 20 to 30 seconds. The live link will disappear once this segment ends, but once you wait that amount of time, refresh the page, and the live link will be back up for you guys to tune back to KBR Sports. Stay tuned.